Welcome back to Stationeers, and, well, time to improve the base a little bit. Let's pop down into our interior area, and you'll see things are looking a little bit nicer. We've got some walls in place. Now, these walls are the construction kit walls. They take the steel sheets, so you do need quite a bit of steel to actually do this. Let's cancel the pressurization, and you'll see now our base looks much nicer. You like it? I sort of do. So we've powered pretty much everything in here. I've powered up this door. So in here, whoops, you can't see. There we go. So in here, we're going to extend the base probably downwards with some more stairs. But in order to do that and to probably pressurize this section, which would be kind of cool, I may need another airlock here. And because they take two space without having any leaks, then I'm probably going to extend this 3. So this is number 1, 2, 3, have an airlock in there, and then the stairs going down, something along those lines. But before we do that, let's get to some other stuff, shall we? Yeah, I just want to show you this part of the base. It is looking pretty good, and it's a lot easier to see. Ooh, steel sheets. I think I put those down here. Steel sheets, iron, steel sheets. There we go, 25. So yeah, we can put pretty much anything through the dumbwaiter. And I'm probably going to need more iron. There's 1, nickel, silver. I've got far too much silver. I guess we're going to get lots of electrum. I've got some gold at least a couple of stacks, and 2 pieces of uranium, so yeah, that will do for now. I've been making the iron up upstairs. Let's just pop outside. And we're going to need a few things to pressurize that, or at least to depressurize it again afterwards, because we've got a portable tank full of oxygen we got from the start. However, we do need to have some system to remove that. And I could feed it back through this system, and that's probably what I'm going to do long term. But in the short term, while I'm working on things, I just want to remove it from the air into a tank and then back again. So a very simple setup like we did when it was originally here, the active vent and the gas storage, except I want something bigger than just a single canister because it's coming out of a portable tank. I guess I could try to put it back into the portable tank, but yeah, I think maybe introduce a new block today. So what have we got in here? I'm probably going to need that transformer. No, I've got no space. Okay, let's build a few things. In fact, let me just take those down first. So yeah, let's pop back inside. And I did make a note on the last video, by the way, but just in case you didn't see that, I'll show you anyway. Cancel you. Yeah, so there's a problem with this valve. Let's just remove this wall. You'll notice there's no block behind it. There's no block behind it because that valve, when you put it in a block, it gives an error. And I'm not quite sure why that's happening, but it is actually happening. So yeah, I had to, bit of problems there. And also I've made a note that I've put a pressure regulator beyond this valve. It's just up there, just behind this wall. And mainly because when this valve opens by electronics, any gases on that side of it rush back into the furnace, which then set the furnace temperature jumping back up again, which then closes the valve. Temperature drops, the valve opens, and some more stuff gets backed in. So yeah, I just fixed that. That will do for now. It still does that a little bit, but not very much. So it is safe to use. So whenever I want the furnace, I can just do this and use it. So let me just put some stuff away in here. I made some electrum, solder, and Invar. I'm not sure. I think I made most of them on camera. I think it's the solder I didn't. That's iron and lead in equal proportions. So Invar is iron and nickel, I believe we did. And then gold and silver for electrum. I don't think there's any more apart from Constantan, which we've not got to yet. I think that's probably nickel and copper or something like that, but we'll look at it anyway when we need it. Another essentials down here is a fire extinguisher. Made that using the fabricator, so just in case there's any problems when there's an atmosphere in here, yeah, we're going to want that. So let's just put these iron sheets away and these gratings. The CO2 filter, I think that's a CO2 filter, yes it is. I wanted to put in this portable air scrubber, and the reason for this is that although we can put it up to our giant filtration system we've got up there, or our starting filtration system, what we probably want to do when we pressurize this, when we start breathing it, I just want to take this CO2 out. Obviously, we're going to use up O2 by breathing and breathe out CO2. So if you have this able to take out the CO2, then yeah, it sort of works. I don't think we're going to produce very much in here. We'll see about the rates, and I'll have some kind of atmosphere analyzer so we can tell. We can start off by just battery powering this and have it store. I think it stores the CO2 inside, so we can drop this on a tank connector, wrench it down, and then just output it wherever we want to. And yeah, later on, we'll just feed it into our filtration system. So what I'm planning to have eventually is maybe something like an active vent that's constantly pulling. It's a bit noisy though, that's the main thing. So I may want to just have a passive vent or something like that and have the pump elsewhere out in vacuum that is pulling one way, maybe pushing it through a cooling loop into our filtration system on the other side. We have a clean air or an O2 mix coming in the other side. So something along those lines. Haven't quite decided yet. If you guys have any specific ideas, well, put them in the comments. More than happy to hear them. Now let's put you in here as well. So iron walls, steel frames, iron sheets, floor grating, and construction kit walls. Someone asked actually how you make these railings. Let's just go to the construction kit walls, rotate the scroll wheel, and let's just actually make it so that it's visible. Okay, so if I just back off one, yeah, there we go. So if I change to that, we can build railings. Pretty cool. And they don't need any extra components. You can just use the construction kit walls. They make railings just fine. I wish, however, these railings on the stairs were higher. The railings out there, it's very easy to slide off. So I may have to put blocks on either side of them to get that going. Right, now I wanted to briefly cover some recycling systems. That's probably next up before we look at pressurization. So we haven't really recycled anything so far. We've been building stuff mostly that I actually need, but there's bits and pieces that I maybe don't quite need just yet. Maybe that logic memory or some of this stuff, a stacker or two, tracking beacon, you know, there's stuff hanging around that I'd rather get rid of. I wish I could get rid of these once I got all the stuff out of them, but I guess they're sort of portable lockers, so, you know, there's nothing in them anymore apart from a few paint cans and the organic supplies, which we've not got to until we get to hydroponics. So let's build a recycler, shall we? Centrifuge is one of the items we want, so let's build that. That's going to take a while. And we're going to build a tank on this one because that is also going to be needed. There we go. Now it looks quite a small kit, but as you can see, the tank itself is quite a large block. There is power and there's data, and we can obviously use the data port to see what's in the tank if we want to. Let's just pop that down. Looks pretty nice. And yeah, let's just turn the light on because it's going to be sunset soon. The model doesn't say, doesn't say power where it should. Oh, that's a pipe. Data, so maybe it doesn't need power. Okay, just a pipe then. Alright, so we'll be using that, I think, downstairs. Let's just see what it needs to deconstruct. It's sort of like a random chance what you need to deconstruct each of these blocks. Are you finished with you yet? The centrifuge is done. Okay, so we also want to build a recycler, and that's in here as well. Whoops, there we go. Recycler. So let's say the centrifuge. And we're going to build that up here. It's going to be actually quite a large block, and we're not going to need, to be honest, that much use out of it. It's just going to be one of those occasional things. So I've got plenty of space up here to put something, and we can just run it off this particular line, or even over there. I'm probably going to need to craft a second battery soon. This is something that I haven't put explicitly in the videos, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 solar panels now, and even with those, this is going to start depleting during nighttime. You can keep adding solar panels by all means, but if during nighttime you use more power than this entire battery holds, then you got more of a problem. Now, there used to be an issue with that, and you used to have to do some electronics and transformers and stuff like that to deal with batteries. They fixed it, so I can put a second battery in, hook it up, and then the two should take power equally. So half and half, if that makes sense. It didn't used to happen before. It used to only pick the first one, and then the second one didn't get anything. But that's thankfully fixed. So here I can probably remove this solar generator, move it back over here somewhere, and then we can build a battery bank. So we can put a second one there, have cable on that side, cable on this side, and everything will go through that transformer, and everything will be good. We can get more and more power storage in parallel really nicely. Okay, so let's look at the recycler, shall we? So anything you put into here is going to get output, so we can put it there. Looks pretty good. It's got some grinding wheels inside and a door which doesn't seem to be interactable. That's a shame. I wonder if there's going to be some upgrade in there, so to maybe replace these with different materials to recycle different things. Don't know, but let's go for the that's a tank. Let's put the tank away. Is it you the recycler? The centrifuge? Yeah, you are. Okay, so centrifuge is a much bigger block, and we're going to want to probably output from one directly into the next, and that will do. So when it comes out of here, it's going to pop straight into the centrifuge. They never line up. They never line up. You know, I'd like to have those power ports lined up. They don't work. Okay, so that's fine, to be honest. I'm just being very, very picky. Let's go and grab some chutes, connect the two in, and hopefully that will do the job. If you need any more, we may need the insert and extract chute type, but hopefully this will work. Let me go and grab some cable and some of this. Oops, let's just grab the cable as well. Now we can put in a junction. And let's put in junctions on all these as well. I mean, we may not need the data on these specifically, but, you know, we may as well assume that we might. And there we go. So we can just connect everything up. And then just two corners, I think. Okay, are we now hooked up? Hopefully we are. Let's power you on and power you on. Okay, so centrifuge, or in other words, spinny thing. Yep, let's just recycle something, shall we? A door? Yeah, I may not need this door. Let's see what we actually get out of this. So pop that into there. It's going to grind it up. It's already ground it up. It's going to go into the recycler. There it goes. And out pops iron ore and copper. And that's door. Okay, so let's just turn it off for a second. Just want to save some power. What does it cost to build a door? Construction kit. Is it construction kit door or is it kit door? Kit door. Takes 7 and a 3. So we're roughly going to get just below half back. I guess that's okay. It's not great, but at least it will mean I don't have to have the stuff wasted. But up to you. Assume that you're going to get less than half back if you use this setup. I don't think there's anything much more to this setup. Just nice to be able to recycle stuff back into ore. If you do need other ores and you accidentally left, you know, let's say, for example, you know, the electronics printer on, making many cable coils, and using all your copper, I guess you could get some back if you want. But, you know, it's up to you. All right, so let's get on with that tank setup, and it should be quite a simple one. Let's pop downstairs. Okay, so popping down into the base here, if you notice the temperature at the top right, super high. That was just from me welding at one panel, but of course the pressure is non-existent. So I'm not particularly worried about that, but yeah, just keep an eye on that. It's 1800 degrees C. I'm not quite sure how it's measuring that, but, you know, we'll see. So we're just going to take out this facts. I actually want to leave in that state for a second, because we're going to take an active vent. And let's just assume this is going to be our sort of, not an emergency system, but a similar sort of thing. We're going to want to flip that over. And that should do. Put you back in there. We're going to have this hooked up to an external tank. And that's why I went and built the tank. Because we're going to go out here in a second. Let's just turn the light on. and turn this on. So if we go behind this wall, if we build another frame out here, it doesn't have to be anything excessive. Remember, this is just going to be a sort of emergency system, or if I need to work on the room and I just want to evacuate the air quite quickly. Well, not quickly, but you know, not into a system that's in our filtration side of things. Then at least I will have something out here that we can do something with. Okay, so let's just pop you back in my backpack for a second. I'm going to turn you off. And do we have any iron frames? No, let's just use steel ones. I think we need steel plates, but I've got those handled. So steel frames look a little bit different, look a bit nicer, more defined. You should see that in a second. And let me just grab some steel sheets, and you're about to see probably the effect of the welder now. Although it is 0 degrees here. Yeah, as soon as I actually mined a little bit, the temperature fell right off. So yeah, that's fine. You see the temperature has jumped right up there. And the lines you see moving are obviously the welding torch actually, you know, using up air, well, not air, using up the welding mix and then outputting into the atmosphere. So there is an atmosphere in here, but it's not very big. It'll be full of pollutants though, so you know, we will want to get rid of filtration or revive filtration at some point. But we've got a platform out there. We're going to need some, we don't need actually a data port, do we? So maybe that tank is good enough by itself. Let's just grab the tank, pop you out here, and then maybe, do we route it by that? Yeah, so if I do want the data port, let's have it facing us, and then we can have the pipe running out that way. So have we got any pipe on me? Yeah, I do. So if we have that, we can run the pipe towards me. And then, yeah, we can just run it straight like this. Very, very simply. And a corner, running it towards that direction. I think I may have to remove this build state one more. Yeah, it tries to build on the surface if you do that. So let's just drop you and undo this one more. Gonna have miscellaneous iron sheets everywhere. It's fine. There we go. Easy to build. Assuming that it's... Oh, it's on top. Okay. Fine. Let's take you back out. Turn you into a corner. And then we can come all the way up. Back into a corner. There we go. So that system's complete, and it's going all the way to the tank. What we could do, and I'm probably not going to do it just yet. Actually, do we have more pipe? Yeah, we do. I'm not going to do it right yet, but we could have an LED display or something like that, like a console. Maybe here below this, and we can turn that into a T-junction if it needs to see the pipe. And then we can have a display of what's actually in the tank, or what pressure the tank's at, or not necessarily the temperature, but the pressure will be handy, so we can see when the tank is emptied or full. You know, we should get an indication from the visual effects we get in the room, but just in case, it may be worthwhile doing that. Let's just grab the crowbar now, and let's pick that up. And we just want some more cable, and the cutters, of course. So this is going to have to be a junction again. Straightforward enough. Hopefully a corner. And a straight pipe. Okay, are you working? Let's give you a quick test. Yep, you're working just fine. So if we set it to inward, that's going to pull in from the tank. If we set it to, sorry, it's inward at the moment now then, so we can set it to outward. So it's going to pull, yeah, so this is going to pull out of the tank, or I can push it into the tank just fine. So that may be worthwhile an actual pressurization test then. Let's actually seal this wall back up, and then we'll see where we go. Steel sheets, I don't need any iron sheets. Got multiple iron sheets? If not, how did I how did I get rid of this wall? I need 2 iron sheets, and now I've only got 1. That makes no sense. Yeah, let's just seal the wall up partially. I can go and find where the other iron sheet is. Steel, floor, steel sheets. Oh, I must put it in here. Yeah, there it is. And then we can just build the wall back up. Not that we necessarily need that, but it is nice and handy to be able to do it. Get the steel sheets. We'll complete the wall again and put the floor back in. Yeah, looks good. We have to close the glass door. That should be airtight. The airlock should be airtight. And this wall is the only one with a completed block behind it. But I think the walls are airtight. Or at least we're about to find out. Yeah, let's do a pressurization test. So to do that really simply, we can just drag this old thing that we got right at the very start into the center of the room, or wherever we want it, drop it. A few features of this that you may not know about. You can refill canisters from this just by dumping them into this slot here, if we wanted to do that. We don't, but we have nearly 5k of oxygen in here. Obviously that's a much bigger volume than those canisters that we use, so we should get enough, maybe not to pressurize the whole room to comfortable amounts of pressure, but let's give it a go. So we just set the back to pressurize by setting this to increase to 100, and you'll see the temperature immediately drops to -100. It's going to head towards the airlock to fill that space, going to head towards that corner to fill that space. We should see it increasing and then stopping and not decreasing after that point, unless there's any gaps, in which case, yeah, that may well show decreasing. This is this. Let's just pop this in to U. Let's replace that. And now we can see the atmospheric analyzer, which is going to look at the world. So let's just look down a little bit. So temperature, don't care about that just yet. Pressure is building, 10.4. It's slowing down the air particles. You can see them in the sort of visual effects. 10.3. Got 56 moles of oxygen, a tiny amount of CO2, a tiny amount of H2, and a tiny amount of pollutants. So those are those things we want to get rid of. We could put another pollutant filter behind here, you know, and that will get rid of both of those. And in fact, do I have anything with a battery in that I can spare? Yeah, I think I can take the battery out of it. Let's just actually put something away for a second. If I take the battery out of the drill, I can put that in here, put the drill away, and we can make sure that this is working. So we have CO2 0.2 C mole. That's too loud. I'm sorry, I can't use that. But as you can see, the pressure is building in there with just CO2 because that's what we put in the back, and the CO2 is disappearing. So if we put, yeah, I mean the amount of H2 is minimal, but we can also get rid of some pollutants. Make sure, yeah, there we go. There's all the CO2. We can turn this off, and there is a tank built into this that we can access by, as I said before, popping it down onto a tank connector and wrenching it down, and we can access it like any other system. So the pressure in here is still 10.3 kPa. That means we've got no leaks. That's great. No leaks. Not even through that, which seems to be a rather suspicious source of a leak. But it works fine. Let's ignore that. It's a game. And let's set this vent on. So all the air gets dragged out. See, the pressure's dropping. It said 0 because we were right next to the vent, but if we head over here somewhere, we'll see the temperature's dropping just fine. Now, as this pressure drops near 0, it's going to get a little bit worse and worse. It's going to take more effort to clear out the last bits of pressure. It's quite fast until this point, But we don't want to be doing this all the time. The airlock is much, much better at this because all it has to do is pressurize and depressurize these two blocks. Now, with this tank and this size space, we just don't have enough to get up to nice, usable, breathable pressures of somewhere above, you know, like 30 kPa or something like that, or at least that amount. It is pure oxygen, of course, but at the same time, you know, I want to be safe about it. So we're just going to evacuate this so that we now have this completely empty canister. Turn it back down again to 0. Yep, you're empty. So we don't really need this portable tank of oxygen anymore. I'll put it back in the corner. But for now, yeah, we'll just keep it as a spare storage. We could put it through a recycler, I suppose, but I may want that. Are you nearly finished? Yeah, it's going to take a little minute or two. And of course, we're down to a really low amount of pressure now, and it takes quite a while to actually get down to, you know, effectively vacuum. It's just working its way down, tiny amounts of O2. I'm not going to worry but too much about that last amount. And of course, I am going to go and put a console in. So we got this that we need to build somewhere. And of course, we can't build it without tearing this wall out. But of course, we're back in vacuum, or ish. So that should be fine. Can we actually build it without the wall? Ah, we can. So if we take off the outer covering, but leave this cover here, that should be okay. And let's pop the console in next to it. I can't put it underneath, unfortunately, because both the power ports are on the bottom, but otherwise it'll be fine. We can put a circuit board gas display in it, and then get some essentially glass sheets, and that completes the console, which always looks really nice. I quite like those. And then let's just grab the cutters, and let's put a corner in here. Junction in here. There we go. And then we're going to need to hook that up to the tank. So we're going to need to pull that cable in here. I won't do that on camera, but of course we're just going to link it into this. And of course, with everything connected, we get a grand old reading of 0 kPa. Why? Well, it seems even though the gas display motherboard or circuit board is in there, doesn't seem to see the tank, so we clearly can't read directly from the tank like that. It's a shame that we can't. Hopefully that'll be something that they add in the future. We can of course read from gas sensors, so you know, just like this, I would imagine that will be no problem. So if we want to read the pressure in the room, we can, but then we have our hood at the top right that lets us read that, so I don't need that side of things. So what I'll probably do is some kind of circuitry next episode to try and read that data out so that we can put it on a display somewhere in the room, just so that, because I've hidden that tank, I don't want to have to go you know, head in here and then go through whatever this wall will be in the future to look at this with, you know, my handheld computer. We can obviously see there is pressure in there, and it's 521 kPa and temperature of -100 degrees. So we are also going to have to deal with heating and cooling, but that'll have to wait till the next episode. And once the atmosphere is in here, we'll have a heater and a cooler, and we can deal with that side of things too. Probably put those on the upper side of things so we don't have this wall space that's essential for human controls too crowded. Hopefully enjoying this episode. We've got recycling done, we've got a little bit of air scrubbing but not very much, and a system we can use just to keep everything out of this room when we're actually operating in vacuum and building more stuff up. That means I can save having to build an airlock just here while I'm building out the rest of the base, and hopefully you can too. This system is quite nice and quite easy to get going. Alright, next episode, probably more of the base building and then maybe more electronics to add more displays in, to get more stuff like that, and probably the filtration system hookup as well. So this system, instead of just being to a tank, we'll have to figure out how to send stuff to the filtration system and bring stuff back to keep ourselves with a nice healthy atmosphere. Alright, give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe and share obviously as normal. And next episode, I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching, and if you do celebrate Christmas, have a good one.